All right, there we are, James.
Man, I thought you were going to get me ready this time. I thought you were going to have me ready.
Hey, welcome back. Been a busy week. We just finished up a lot of stuff going on. You want to talk about some of it?
Yeah, it's been a online training, coaching, mentoring session. You've been, you've been putting in some work, man. Putting in some serious work.
Yeah, we've talking about is we did our 2-day coaching seminar with Donald Miller and the team over at Building the Story brand, helping some of our clients clarify their message. And then we're also kicked off our Joint Task Force 214 Q1 Kickstart 4-week course on Monday as well. So it's been busy. And then even right before this, we were in a coaching call building sales funnels with people. So a lot of stuff going on. Oh, and then on Sunday, I graduated officially from the Rosie Network and the Rocky Mountain chapter. So
I want to see the certificate and the diploma. I'm questioning whether or not you actually completed that.
It's right
training.
Here. It's one of these post-it notes.
Yeah, I want to make sure because 86% of their graduates report a 150% increase in their revenue. So with that being said, I'm waiting to see that for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to happen. The amount of education that I got from the Rosie Network in a short time since September, it's amazing. And they got great instructors and great guest instructors. It's absolutely awesome.
The key is there, you said mentorship. It's so important to find those organizations or individuals that'll mentor and coach you. It's so important. You got to have that accountability to keep you going. And yeah, I love getting the daily upgrades from you because you would always give me updates on what you were learning in the class. So I appreciate it.
Another book to read. So what about this weekend? What's going on?
Well, I'm kind of embarrassed to mention it today, but what's your shirt say? Go beat Navy. That's right. Go Army, beat Navy. What can I say? Sing second. That's what we're going for.
We even have JR on the line from Third Day Coffee Seguin, and he's already wearing his Army jersey. So it's exciting. But hey, I think I'm excited about today's guest. Today's guest is founder and CEO of the Rosie Network. I started the course before we even had the opportunity to reach out to Miss Stephanie Brown and invite her on the show. We had met her once briefly at Veterans Growing America's event at Belvoir, right, when we were selling footies. But this is an opportunity where she's going to come on and just, where I gave her thanks for the amazing course that she put on. So
I can't wait to learn more about what she's doing. And, the good thing about, fun fact is she's also an Air Force brat. So we get to cheer for another team twice a year. So we go Army, beat Navy. Well, I guess you would say go Navy, beat Army, but then we can also say go Air Force. So anyway.
Oh, there's JR. He's saying morning, brothers. That means he's already on the Army side here. But let's go ahead and let's bring her on because I'm excited to just get this show going because this is going to be a fun one. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Let's go Navy. Let's go Navy. Let's go Navy. And Air Force.
And Air Force. Welcome to the lounge. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor. And I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited. You are a new Service to CEO graduate. Look at you.
I know. This is great.
I still got to see the certificate. I don't believe it. I don't think it happened. I need to see evidence that he got through this course in one piece.
We did it in Zoom.
You have to join the National Alumni. So it doesn't start. We like to say, we never let you go until you want us to, but we never let you go. So you get to join the National Service to CEO Alumni where we continue the training and the mentorship and the networking with hundreds of other entrepreneurs like you all across the country.
Yeah. It's a great program. And we've already got the Navy people coming in. You're already winning fans.
Navy, just saying.
But this is a fun week, and I really want to thank you. You are our very first mill spouse to come on. Up until this point, we've been very veteran centric and very ranger centric. So you're coming in from a very unique background, being for James, a fellow Air Force brat,
Yep.
Navy spouse, and then an entrepreneur. You're doing amazing stuff. So thank you for coming on and being the first, being the trailblazer. That who else better than Stephanie Brown to be the trailblazer for us on this one. So
thank you. Yeah, I've got a few gray hairs. As all good entrepreneurs do at some point, get a few gray hairs.
I didn't even have a beard before.
I mean, what better thing to do with your life than something that you love, for a community that, you've grown up in, married in, and raised kids in. So,
right.
It's truly an honor.
Yeah.
And
so let's talk about that.
It's so much fun.
Let's talk about that. We talked about all of us are brats. We're all brats, and my kids are brats because I'm a military spouse now, and so for you, they've heard mine and James' boring stories about being a brat.
Yeah.
What about you growing up? What was that like? How did that impact who you are today?
You probably hear this a lot, but I think it made me. I don't want to say fearless, but more fearless maybe than my civilian counterparts, their kids, because we were always the new kid in school. We were always the new kid on the block. So you had to get out there. You had to get out there. You had to meet people, make friends, and then you had to intern. You had to say goodbye to them and pack everything up and do it all over again. So I think it creates a certain level of resiliency. And, creates an outgoing personality. So I loved it. I lived, overseas several times and across the country. My father was enlisted, and I never knew until I was an adult that we actually lived below the poverty level. I never knew because, we didn't go hungry, but our family vacations were camping trips. And man, we loved it. We loved it. So, but growing up in the military is really, it's tough, but there are some incredible advantages. You get to see parts of the country and the world that you might not otherwise be exposed to.
What was your favorite assignment? Like what was your favorite base that you lived growing up?
I would have to say, Spangalum, I was young. My little sister was born there. And I remember the snow, incredible snow. And my best friend lived right down the street. She was German. We didn't understand each other. She didn't speak English. I didn't speak German. But she had a love for horses, and I'm a horse fanatic. So she had a horse, and her parents owned a candy store. So, I mean, if you can pick two things that any kid would like, hey, be my best friend. So we would go to the candy store, then we would walk, up to our knees in snow down to feed the horses. And then Upper Hayford, Croughton in England. I was just started high school there. I went to 4 different high schools growing up, but I loved that. I loved it. We got to live off base, which was not, typical. So we got to live off base. And again, I worked at a horse stables on the weekends, mucking stalls. So lots of horse poop. But then, lead roping kids around on the horse. And then I would get to ride at the end, myself at the end of the day. So, it's this life offers so many opportunities for adventures, not just for kids, but for spouses. You just got to be willing to get out there and embrace the adventure, right? You got to embrace the adventure.
I think that's huge. And being military, us living overseas really helps you culturally just adapt and accept others and work with others. And so I remember like my daughter, she's looking at pictures and she's now going, where's that at? Where's that at? I was like, well, we did your 2nd birthday in Paris and we did your 3rd birthday in Venice. And what about my 4th birthday? I'm like, Monkey Joe's in Fayetteville, Fort Bragg. She's like, what? I'm like, sorry. I mean, nothing against Monkey Joe's is a great place, but it isn't, you're not on a gondola in Venice. But she gets to look back and do that. And then it's kind of neat now that she's in the second grade doing her dioramas and stuff like that. She's picking countries that she went to, so she can do a picture of her in St. Charles Bridge and Prague and stuff like that. And so it's pretty neat for her to do that. I feel bad for my son because I don't know if he's going to get all the experiences, but I think to your point, it builds a resiliency.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, you pulled a lot of that as a military spouse, because you're going through the same thing and doing the moving. So you're kind of like, okay, I'm already ready for this. Yep. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and it's a unique community. And over Tom's career, I had an opportunity to make incredible friends that I remain connected with. But the successful, I mean, I'm using the term successful, not career successful, but successful mental outlook, and which in turn impacts the resiliency and strength of the family, were those spouses that actually got out and off the installation and away from the installation and connected with the community, did trips, just engaged, right? There were the one, and not all across the board, but statistically speaking, the ones that struggled the most were the ones that, remained in their cocoon. And that's, I kept trying, like I would have more seasoned spouses kind of take me under their wing and go, hey, come on, this is where we're going. We're going to go to Italy and we're going to buy pottery. Come on with us. And, it's not a trip I would have engaged on my own, but by doing that, then in turn, it gave me the opportunity to go, hey, come on, you just got here. Let's go to Paris and go visit the Louvre and bring the kids. And, so it's what you make of it, but that is life, isn't it? It's really what you make of it.
No, it builds community, and that's that community building in the good times really pays dividends in the hard times.
That's right. And your kids see it. I mean, I think of the 10-year Rosie Network journey, one of my absolute favorite memories is when I was getting ready. I had flown up to Seattle and I was doing a keynote, Seattle or anyway, doesn't matter. And I was doing a keynote and I happened to take my youngest with me, who was, I think, maybe 12 at the time. And he, my youngest son, who, is bored out of his mind and, doesn't want. And sorry, my phone. He's
calling you now. He heard you mention his name.
Oh, you know what? It's my son. So sorry, my EA gets it. But anyway, we're getting off we're getting ready to go into the facility where I'm going to get up on stage and speak. And, which the first time I ever did that, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But now I do it so much. I love it. I love it. But he turned to me and he said, Mom, are you nervous? And I said, no, this is my community. This is my tribe. I'm talking, I'm talking about what I love, what I'm passionate about, what's to be nervous. And he turned to me and he goes, yeah, you're an entrepreneur. So I expect brave, for you to do brave things like this. And I was like, what? A 12-year-old boy who I didn't expect to pay any attention to what I did or,
Yeah.
And he's like, you're an entrepreneur, Mom. I expect you to do brave things. And he's right. Entrepreneurship, it takes a certain brave, bold attitude, because it's stepping outside your comfort zone and getting out there. So, that was pretty monumental. I cherish that memory.
No, that's beautiful. I love it. And, it's kind of what we talk about a lot. On this show, we talk a lot about, our children as well, being the adult today that you want your children to be tomorrow. And I think, it's a perfect example, for them to see it and see it through you and the work that you're doing. That's awesome.
Yeah. And, he did a class project later. I'm totally talking about my kid here, which, is, aren't our children our greatest accomplishments?
Yes.
But he did a class project and his dad, who served 30 years in the SEAL teams, retired as a flag officer, blah, 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 incredible, exciting, and he had to write about one of his parents. And shocker of all shockers, he chose to write about me.
That's
he chose
awesome.
to write about me as the CEO of a company. And I thought, what? Your dad's this Navy SEAL. Don't you think all the kids are going to think? And he goes, Mom, you're, so, hey, that's
awesome.
In the top 10 of, most cool mom moments in the world.
Oh, that is cool. That's right up. That's better than a Mom of the Year mug.
Exactly. So I had to rub it in Tom's face. Like, hey, Tom.
That is so cool.
Well, yes, it's just so important. You never, especially with your children, they're always watching and they're always learning and they're watching, and you're setting the example on their response and just how you probably, how you handled yourself up until that point. He looked at you obviously and still continues to look at you as a hero and as he should, because you said some great points about a tribe, a community. We're primates. We're supposed to thrive outside, not be alone. We're supposed to be together and have collaboration and share success together. So that's some powerful message there for the military spouses or even military dependents for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I like to say he inspired our, last summer we did a pilot program called, for military kids, military entrepreneur camp for kids, right, in middle school and high school. And it was incredible. I was so blown away and inspired by these kids and their, entrepreneurial endeavors. So I'm excited. We're rolling it out again this year in a big way. And I mean, yeah, so they do. They watch what we do. I've heard that from other spouses. My kids see that I'm building something. I'm not just, and believe me, the hardest job in the world is being a stay-at-home mom or dad. It is simply the hardest job there is. But, they're seeing their mom or their dad, that spouse, start something, and kids pick up on it and kids emulate it, and kids. So it is, it's pretty cool.
It's absolutely really cool. We did a social media post last, I think it was February. It was there's Kids Inventor Day. I didn't even know the thing existed, but I was looking through. I was like, that's kind of interesting. So I started looking online and checking it out. By the time I know it, I spent half a day going through this and looking at all these things. Like, this is so crazy. There's so many awesome projects out there, and these kids are creating stuff that, like, I think I was literally, still playing Army and eating dirt.
You and me, yeah.
What are you guys doing? And then I look at my daughter. She's over there.
I always got my Barbies with my brothers. They had the Army men and I had the Barbie, which, I never wanted Barbies. I was a total tomboy. And so there was always that and Hot Wheels in the desert. And yeah, we had to create our own fun. We had to create our own fun. But
and it's crazy, because boys are always playing Army. I think JR said nobody played Navy going up, but anyways, I digress. But I think
it was too hard for you Army folks to play Navy. So,
so I want to ask you a question. So you went from Air Force family, and then you transitioned into the Navy. What were their challenges there? Going from one service to another, was it like, okay, this feels pretty normal. I got it. I just got to call it different things. NEX by BX.
Well, I think, my dad used to say to us, all of us kids when we were old enough to understand it, he's like, and my dad became an entrepreneur when he retired. He opened up a music store in California.
Very cool.
And he said to us, he goes, I'm never going to encourage any of you guys to join the military, but if you join the military, my one piece of advice is join the Air Force. So we have the nicest installations, the best housing. So that always stuck with me. And then of course, I marry Navy, but when I met Tom, I was standing in line at a Hallmark card store and he was behind me. And he was not in uniform. It wasn't until later that I realized he was in the Navy. And it wasn't until much later that, I realized what he did in the Navy. And I didn't even know, what was a Navy SEAL. I'd never heard of it. I'd never, and I'm dating myself because this is a long time ago. But, I remember, so I wouldn't say, so as far as being different, not really. we'd lived in some pretty rough rough areas and some really nice areas. So it's, So that was the piece of advice my dad gave me, who I like to think I caught my entrepreneurial bug from him, because he was a total entrepreneur down to his DNA. And so I would work in his music store after school and on the weekends. And that was kind of how I learned not just about entrepreneurship, right? The working side of it, the inventory, the bookkeeping, sales, et cetera. But the most important lesson I learned from him was service and giving back. And I didn't recognize it and value it at the time because I was too young and I knew everything. But much later, when I started the Rosie Network, it hit me like, wow, I remember having these conversations with my dad, like, and his response was always, I was, telling him he wasn't making enough money in the music store. He was giving away everything. Every veteran kid that would walk into the music store, he would just, basically give away, guitars and repair work and lessons. And I remember saying to him, Dad, hey, we're not making enough money. And he said, are we paying the bills? And I said, yeah. And he goes, that's what matters. That's what mattered. It mattered to him. He goes, for me, it's about giving back. And he was a Vietnam veteran, and they didn't quite get the welcome or the support that, today's veterans receive. And so he's like, this is my way. This is my healing. I'm healing myself and sharing the healing nature of music and camaraderie. And I was like, yeah, but Dad, if you just, and it didn't hit me until later when I, started the Rosie Network. This is way more rewarding, right? Seeing people and what they've done and what they can do and how it impacts their life and their family and our community and our country. Way more rewarding than, how much revenue we're bringing in. Because trust me, the first 5 years, we didn't bring in anything. I mean, it was Stephanie and Tom Brown funding everything that we did. So, but it was a passion. Anyway, I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, that's
perfect.
Not at all. It's really, your dad defined success by taking actions and not by transactions. And that put a seed in you, about, I think that's probably what started kind of the seed of maybe the Rosie Network and your U.S. Mill Spouse Chamber of Commerce and all that work. Is there one piece of advice or some advice that you found that you gave to fellow spouses that you repeat today to entrepreneurs?
Yeah, two things. One, stop waiting. Stop waiting. There is never a perfect time. Like I hear it a lot, well, once the kids go to school, or once the kids get out of school, or once he retires, or once we, there's never a perfect time basically for anything. So, to start a business, just do it. Take that first step and start down that path. You'll make mistakes, you'll have successes, but start now. And then the other thing is, don't make your business just about making money. Because if that's what you're focused on, it's a poor business. I don't care how much money you bring in. Make your business about making an impact. You do that, and everything else will fall into place. Make an impact. And it can be entrepreneurs have, we have this strange mental outlook on so many things. We don't just see a problem, right? Like we don't just see a problem. Hey, you go to the beach and you get sand in your flip-flops and in your shoes, and then you take them off and you cut your feet with glass, whatever. We don't just see a problem. We actually see a solution.
Right.
We see a solution. And I love that. I love that about people. You know what I mean? And I love feeding that and nurturing that and encouraging that. Don't just see a problem, see a solution, and take the leap. Take the leap. There are so many resources out there and people who genuinely want to see you succeed. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. So, I look at our Riveter, you guys, the two military spouses that got a deal on Shark Tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who make handbags and satchels and whatnot. They didn't have a lot of money or any money. They literally started their business when their kids were napping at the dining room table.
Yeah.
And look at them now.
Yeah.
So it really, you got to feed that, you have two options. You can feed this is hard. Woe is me. I don't have money. I have to wait till, the kids are always at my feet. Well, my service members always deploying or training. You can feed that beast, or you can feed the beast that feeds you, that supports you, that energizes you. And you don't have to do it alone, right? It can be a tough journey. There's nothing more rewarding, it's like raising children. So you don't have to do it alone, whether you go to the bunker, whether you come to the Rosie Network and go through service to CEO, whether you go to your local VBOC, whatever it is, don't do it alone. There are lots of resources out there, and folks just like you that you ought to be doing the journey with.
Yeah.
So that was more than one piece of advice, but
that's great. I think that's
it's like potato chips. You can't just eat one, right? You have to.
But I love it. I mean, that's why I started everything that I'm doing with James Phelps, my Ranger buddy, because for us, we started as lieutenants, and we just kept on, and we're lifelong friends here. And so by doing it with this, there's days, because the road to entrepreneurship is not straight. It is up and down, and it is, oh gosh, we suck again. This sucks. We're never gonna make it. My wife is going to leave me if we don't make any money. I mean, she's going to, things are great. And so by having, James there for me on my bad days, it just happens to be, he's on a good day to bring me back up. And if we can't find it within each other, then there are networks like the Rosie Network, like, the other ones that are out there. So I really appreciate that. I think what I want to do right now is let's cut to commercial. I think you've set it up perfectly for us to come back and then talk about the Rosie Network and all the work that you've done to help out people like yours truly with our road to entrepreneurship. So we'll be right back.
When you see a veteran wearing that new outfit, he feels like $1 million. Giving back is key for me, quite frankly. We did an event called Suiting Our Heroes, where we invited everybody to come in and basically donate their gently used suit. Because there's a lot of veterans out there, to be quite frank, that can't even afford a suit. So what we did was we had the community get involved, giving food, giving some soft drinks, and basically come out and donate your gently used suit. What we did with those suits is we went ahead and gave them to veterans that couldn't afford anything because they're gently used. We had them tailored. We donated a shirt and tie to go with that. And guess what? When you see a veteran wearing that new outfit, he feels like $1 million. And he knows he can go out there for the next chapter of his life and feel confident about that.
You're watching the Lounge with Legends TV show with your hosts, Marty Martinez and James A. Phelps.
All right. James.
I love it when he does that. It's just amazing.
So those of y'all that are joining, we've got Stephanie Brown here from the Rosie Network. We just talked about, life in the military as a family member and the ups and downs. And now we're about to switch over and talk about, two of her babies, outside of her other babies, but the Rosie Network and the U.S. Mill Spouse Chamber of Commerce. So let's talk about the Rosie Network. Which came first? The Rosie Network came first, and then the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, the Rosie Network came first, and actually, so many people have already heard this story, but it really began with Rosie's List. I had a problem at the house, and I had a need for a service provider, and I went on Angie's List and Craigslist and tried to find a plumber, and I realized, and of course everything goes wrong and breaks down when your service member's deployed, which was of course the case. And, so here I am, desperately trying to find a plumber. And it, dawned on me, I said, well, we're out here. Why can't I find a veteran-owned plumbing company? I know they're out there. So I began this, research and couldn't find anywhere that I could find a verified, because I wanted to make sure they were actually a veteran and actually served or a military spouse. And so I thought, well, you've got Angie's List, you've got Craigslist. Angie's List you had to pay for back then. And I don't want it to just be services. I want it to be, why aren't Americans buying from our veterans and our military families? So I really started out Rosie's List, began the journey. And I happened to find a veteran who could build websites, who could code, convinced him it was a great idea. And Rosie's List was born way back in, I think, 2013, 2014, so a long time ago. It's currently being completely rebuilt right now. But that's how we began. And then I realized, doing all these interviews and focus groups, et cetera, that there was a gap. There wasn't any boots on the ground, real learning, like what kind of entity formation you should set up, what works best for you. What are some of the legal challenges that you're going to face? What are some of the hiring challenges in your state? How do you register your business? How do you determine what your market is, who your customer is? What is a brand, versus a logo? All of that kind of stuff, because I was a business owner when I met Tom. I owned a business. I made more money than Tom did. And he was a young, officer at the time at the Pentagon. So when I met him, fell in love and got married a year later, and he took command overseas, and I sold my business and followed him, and then became unemployed and unemployable. All the things that I didn't know, all the mistakes I made. And I realized that there wasn't that network and connection and training and mentorship. So I met a gal from California State University and convinced her that we should build a program. And that's what we did. So many years later, we now provide our program. Due to COVID, we're providing it remotely, but so we provide it in 34 states and 3 countries. But we have chapters all across the country, in different regions of, and it's free. It's free. And I'll tell you, we now provide our program exclusively to the Wounded Warrior Project, because they liked the fact that we actually had a curriculum. This wasn't just, networking is powerful and potent, but you actually need to get some real life, lessons in there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So so we're now, I think this evening I'm welcoming the next, the 3rd cohort with Wounded Warrior Project. And we also provide it to the Elizabeth Dole alumni, our caregivers. So, and that's important to me and to our whole team to be able to, especially support and empower that community. But so we set about building it. And I the only downside about scaling and becoming large or larger than when you first start out is, you have less time. Mm-hmm. You have less time. So right. The one thing I miss is being able to, have more of that one-on-one with the entrepreneurs. I still have kids. I still have, so it that's the one thing I miss. But fortunately, we have way smarter, more capable folks out there that provide the mentorship to our cohort members and, the subject matter experts. We find the good ones, the good ones that have not just the business skills, but truly the passion to see our veterans and family members succeed. Yeah. And we hold on to them, and we're very fortunate in that way.
That's
and
great.
We pay all of our chapter leads across the country. This is not an organization of unpaid volunteers. I don't believe, you can be an unpaid volunteer. It's phenomenal. We need those people in this world. We truly, truly do. But for me, as a military spouse, we get told all the time, oh, you don't have anything on your resume. You haven't worked in 5 years. Go volunteer, which you don't get paid for, which is fine. But, I didn't want to build an organization where I wasn't valuing the time, energy, and commitment that those who run our chapters give. Yeah. So it was important to me that, hey, that means more stress on us to bring in enough money to pay them, but it's a priority.
That in itself is amazing, that you have that mindset, that you understand how valuable time is. And I'm not, not knocking any other organizations that do that, but, I know how much time Marty spent working with the mentor and his coach. And, that's great that you've identified that. And that really sets you apart in a good way, I feel, because, sometimes free is not the best. Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the other thing, unpaid volunteers, it's really hard to hold them accountable. So in our case, all of our chapter leads get ongoing training. They connect with us on a regular basis. They get the support that they need. And most importantly, I value what they bring to the table. And yeah, it puts a financial stress on us, but it's worth it because they deserve it. They deserve it. And that's how we scale.
Oh, absolutely. What it does, what sets you apart is because James and I, we go through a lot of training and we do a lot of reading. Like we were talking before, tonight I'm being brought into Bunker Labs for cohort veteran in resident 22 Alpha for DC. And so it's never, you're a lifelong learner. And so I say all that because you see different levels. You see the gurus. Bring me your woes and I'll solve it for you. You're like, well, that didn't really help. I could have read that in the Entrepreneur Magazine, good magazine, but not what I needed at this time. And what we really liked about the Rosie Network, what I liked, was the structure. And a lot of things that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. But then putting it all together, it's awesome. And it really helped our business as we sat down there. And there's a lot of takeaways from that. I appreciate that.
Well, even Stephanie, your messaging itself, I get, and this is just a vent session, but you always, even if listening to the way you speak, it's always a we. I've never heard you say me. And that to me is so powerful. If you look at all your website, everything else is, we can do it. It's not, it doesn't point the finger back at yourself. You're saying, hey, collectively together, we're stronger. And that's what inspires me. You're empowering the impact that you're making as a group. And that to me speaks volumes on what you're doing. I can't say enough positive things about what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I always say, it really your team, building a team is your most valuable asset. Yeah. Or they can be your greatest liability, right? Your team is important. And it's never going to be about me. It's never. I realize that I am oftentimes the face and the spokesperson, but it's never going to be about me. And somebody said, well, because I'm a big believer in at the very beginning, define what success means to you. If you can't define what success means to you, you got to spend some time trying to do that. Not what it means to everybody else or, your peers, but what it means to you. And somebody flipped that on me and said, what does success mean to you, Stephanie? And I said, when nobody remembers or knows who Stephanie Brown was, when the Rosie Network has grown and scaled and is out there creating small business owners and empowering, our military community to be their own boss and nobody even remembers or knows who I am. That's success. And I'll tell you why. Because if you build something that's just about you, what happens when you're gone?
Right.
It can't be just about you. It has to be bigger than you. That's why I say build something that makes an impact, because then it's not just about you. You know, if Rosie goes away when I retire, which, you know, I mean, I'm 59 years old. If Rosie goes away when I retire one day, what will I have done? Right? You have to build something that's going to outlive you.
Yeah.
Then it's not about you. It's not just about you.
Yeah, that's the legacy your dad ingrained in you from that music store. You know, that's you said it in the beginning. That's the same legacy. You're continuing his legacy. Your legacy is going to continue on. And, you know, we're not perfect. That's what, you know, a lot of people need to understand. We're not perfect, but it's the intention that you're setting forward. You know, you're intending to do good for others. You know, that's amazing. Man.
Sounds like I have a helicopter right over the house. So sorry if you get the background. No, I feel like I'm living on the Air Force Base all over again with jets and flying around.
It's called the sound of freedom.
The military spouse chamber, if I may, because I know that was going to be your next question.
I was about to ask you that. Yeah.
So it was funny. I was on a task force, stood up a task force with, Army Chief of Spouse Maria McConville, and she's the spouse of General McConville, and all about military spouse business owners and budding entrepreneurs, right? What are the unique challenges that they face, and how can we help? From home-based business registration to doing business overseas, all the things that spouses, the challenges. And so, we brought in some pretty amazing folks from different organizations, Hiring Our Heroes, Amazon, et cetera, and started this whole process of trying to, evaluate the current landscape and then come up with solutions, which was fantastic. And we'll have a product soon to be released from that effort, which I'm excited about. But I happened to meet these two amazing spouses, Beth Conlon, who runs all of Amazon military spouse programs, and then Jamie Chapman, who was she was also a veteran, and she owned her own business. And I had for years been working with USAA on different types of private sector certification for veteran, service disabled veteran. And we had always talked about needing a certification for military spouse-owned businesses. And I didn't want to do it under Rosie, because Rosie's mission is education, mentorship, and, resources. So I turned to Beth and Jamie one day and I said, hey, I want to create a certification for spouses that's an industry standard, recognized and accepted, for spouse-owned businesses. And I want to do it as a military spouse chamber of commerce. And on Beth Conlon, who's been in the military spouse space for many, many years with Blue Star Families and others. And she goes, well, Stephanie, doesn't that already exist? And I said, no. And she goes, what? So I recruited the two of them and launched it in January of last year. And we launched the first military spouse-owned enterprise certification. It's based on industry standards. We built it with the supplier diversity gurus over at USAA. I've been working on it with Wayne Shanks and others over there for a number of years. And we finalized the project. Jamie built an incredible online portal to make it super easy. We now have over 700 members. And the certification is currently accepted by USAA, by Johnson & Johnson, by CVS Health, Disney. And we're working, with a bunch of others right now to onboard them so that they can actually do business with military spouse-owned companies and track their supplier diversity spend, just like they do with minority-owned, veteran-owned, et cetera. Now they can do that with military spouse-owned. So that was I think that's a big win for our spouse community. And then we started working with Congresswoman Strickland out of Washington State. And we're in the process of presenting, for consideration to Congress, a pilot program. The bill has been written. I think it's in the final drafting stages now, but to recognize military spouses as a disadvantaged category, which will open up funding options and will also allow military spouses to go after government contracts, state, local, county contracts, et cetera. So I'm hoping that 2022 will see that pilot program roll out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. I don't know how you do all that.
I don't know either.
I was just happy I got the kids to school on time today. Here you are taking on the world. This is crazy.
Hey, again, it's not Stephanie taking on the world. I've learned the valuable lesson, and let your audience listen. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, surround yourself with the right people. That makes all the difference in the world. If you surround yourself with naysayers, you don't want people that are just going to say, "Oh my God, Marty, James, what you're doing is perfect. There's no room for improvement. Yeah, we love that. We love that." No, that just doesn't make you look overweight. So, you want honest criticism. You want people that are going to, give you the real deal, real lowdown, but you got to surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up and they're going to help you get, down the road. Right. As one gentleman, very successful older gentleman at a big Inc. magazine networking event. I was part of this group, military entrepreneurs. And he said, there are a lot of people here to talk to. Keep this in mind. You'll know within 10 seconds whether it's somebody that can move you forward or not. If they can't move you forward, be polite. But move on to the next person. So that sounds sort of self-serving, but it's true. Surround yourself with people that are really going to challenge you and lift you up.
No, that's great advice too. I mean, we, especially, here in DC, we talk a lot about networking, finding out, who do you need to know and how can you, James and I like to say, how can we create space and fill it with value and opportunity? So it's two ways. So we're not just taking from others. And so when you enter those conversations, how do you do that? And that's a lot of what we talk about too. How do we teach that is, being the guide, not the hero. And so when you're talking to people saying, look, I'm here, I have a plan that's going to help you with whatever it is, whether you're interviewing for a new job, whether you're doing your business pitch, whether you're whatever it is. But if you position yourself as the guide, that definitely helps that 10 seconds right there to go, okay, do they understand where I'm coming from? Can they help me? So I agree.
You're doing that. This, Lounging with Legends is exactly that, right? This is, your effort, your passion, your business. But at the same time, you're allowing others like me to share my mission, my vision, and what the Rosie Network team and all of our partners are doing to actually change the world, right? So you're allowing me to be the face of this incredible, movement that is being run by, again, smarter, more capable, better people than me all around the country, right? So you are doing it. This is the living embodiment of service.
Right. I appreciate that. We're trying to help, our success. We talked about defining success, and James and I decided early on, our definition of success is helping one veteran a day. And if we can do that, it sounds simple, but it's actually harder to do. But we have people reach out and go, man, I heard Stephanie's episode and it was amazing. Now I know that there's resources out there for me as a military spouse, as an entrepreneur, or they've heard someone else's and they've reached out because they're getting the migraines and they know they can reach out to, Jeff Hoagland over in Colorado doing the Invictus Project and stuff like that. So we feel like we are doing that. We hope that's our earnest hope.
It's a beautiful thing about this tribe. I have to say, it really is. It's unique. It's just unique, and may that never change. May that never change.
And we got Stephen Kuhn saying, "Hello, Stephanie. Give him a shout out.
Hey, Stephen.
And then we've got our Navy guy here.
Considering their Army. Yeah, they're okay. I know we're not going to hold it against them. We're not going to hold it against them.
But now, appreciate everything you're doing. So here, let me ask you this. So with all this work, how can people support the Rosie Network and your efforts and your team's efforts, what you guys are doing with both endeavors, I suppose?
Well, I and thank you for asking, because we cannot do it alone. We just simply can't. And we're always asking for basically three primary things: time, treasure, and talent. So if you have a talent, a skill that you want to share with our business owners and entrepreneurs, please reach out to us, because maybe you can be a mentor, maybe you can be a subject matter expert teaching a class. Either our national alumni or one of our cohorts. Treasure, always. I mean, everything that we do is meant to strengthen military families, not just financially, but in those qualitative ways: self-esteem, purpose, a new mission, all of that. So treasure is always appreciated. I mean, we have, we're on Amazon Smile. We also have Roundup for Rosie. You can give your credit card change, up to a limit of $5 a month. I mean, that is hugely appreciated. Excuse me. If you have a product that you'd like us to add on our website and you're willing to give some kind of small revenue share, we've done that with a number of veteran and spouse-owned companies. Which is fantastic. And it helps us continue to grow the mission and support people. And then your talent, if you want to volunteer. I mean, we have, these showcase events around the country with the AAFES. We have, we're working with the Army and the Air Force through the first of its kind supplier diversity portal through AAFES. So if you have a product or a service, including service, if you have a product or a service and you're a veteran or a military spouse-owned business and you want to do business with the Army, AAFES, or the Air Force, the Army just signed on last week. Woo! Reach out and let us know, right? Let us know. Let's get you in there. So time, treasure, and talent. Visiting our website, our social media, share it out with people that you think may benefit from it. And I'll tell you the other thing you can do, because I'm a big preacher on this: buy military. You need a landscaper, you need an orthodontist, a realtor, you need a car repair. The husband and wife team that works on my car, they're both Air Force veterans. Go to Rosie's List. It's being rebuilt right now, so please be patient with us. It'll be launched in Q1 as an e-commerce system. So if you have a product, you can sell it right there as an e-commerce system, as well as services. But really shop and buy military first. Yeah. And that includes this holiday. So if you go on Military Families Magazine, you'll see our team on the cover. But inside of it, we helped put together an exhaustive list of amazing veteran and military spouse-owned businesses that you can and should be shopping from. I mean, really, this is, do we want to continue to buy widgets made in other countries? Right. Or do we want to actually buy from each other, support each other? Imagine what would happen. Imagine what would happen if we all made that commitment today as a New Year's resolution, that we were going to shop first from within our community. Imagine what would happen. Our website was built by 2 military spouses. Our program was built by military spouses and veterans. Our program is taught by military spouses and veterans. Our print material, veteran-owned company. I tell you, if you're not walking the walk, don't talk the talk. So buy military family-owned and mark it on your bookmark it, rosieslist.org. It doesn't cost veterans or spouses anything to get their business up there, and it doesn't cost you anything to shop it. So let's make it a movement. And just
plus you're vetting them, so that's brilliant. I love it that you're vetting those.
Yeah, so you get vetted, you get, we verify military affiliation with our partner GovX, which is another great, online e-marketplace for veterans.
I think James and I we're going to do that with Joint Task Force 214 from here on out. We'll accept your challenge accepted, and we will do veteran owned, like our website developer. From now on, we'll move everything over to veteran owned. 90% of our stuff is veteran owned already. We've got Shauna Barnes. She does our business cards and all of our stuff. We've got, the MOAC coffee provided by JR over at Third Day Texas Pecan Roast, and we have a holiday package. So we'll start.
I got to one up you there, Marty. I got to one up you there. We have, and I wish I had it right in front of me. I don't, but we have a long-standing relationship with Alpha Coffee, right? Army veteran. Alpha Coffee, and they did a special blend for us this year called Rosie's Rocket Fuel.
All right, nice.
It's the entrepreneur's blend. So, and they donate for every bag. They not only donate to the Rosie Network for every bag, but they ship coffee to service members deployed overseas for every bag of coffee that's purchased. So, and again, it's that give back. So, what is MOAC doing, right? I'm sure they're also giving back to the community.
We're supporting a Navy veteran, so somehow we got mixed community here.
Exactly, got to support each other.
We've got a Navy veteran, JR, over 30 Days Again. What they do is they give back to a village in Honduras for every bag that they do and help build children in schools. And in MOAC, we donate a portion of our proceeds to that. And it's Texas Pecan.
And we're finding more and more. 70% of Americans prefer to patronize a veteran-owned business. So where can you go and know that they're verified, it's trusted, and next year you'll actually be able to purchase directly from Rosie's list those products, but also find the services. So it's not just products, it's services. It's the whole ecosystem.
I think you have a new fan, Maria.
Hey, Maria, thank you. Yeah, I'll tell you, we need to do it. It's and the plumber that I ended up finding, the veteran-owned plumber that I ended up finding is phenomenal. He's become a personal friend. And every time I have a plumbing issue, I know I can call him up and he comes right over. So that's really what we can do. That's what we should be doing. And that's how Americans can support our community.
Right.
Stop buying stuff, no offense, made in China.
Yep.
Or overseas, talk about the supply, the backlog in the ports. Buy American, buy veteran. I agree.
So
I'm not singling out China, so don't anybody get upset. But made overseas. But we ought to be buying made here. And who better than those who've served and their family members deserve our dollars.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a perfect segue to the Freedom Means time. So we asked this of all the legends that come in about serving and sacrificing as veterans and military families, because we've missed Christmases together and we've missed first kisses and first walk. We've sacrificed so much. So we ask all of our that come on, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom, I view it as a God-given right to every human being. Freedom is a God-given right. And for those of us that are fortunate enough to live in this great nation, freedom to me means a debt and an obligation. A debt to those who fought, bled, and died for our freedom, and an obligation to live up to that sacrifice. So to me, freedom is your, everyone's God-given right. The day we are born, it's our God-given right, but it's really, in this country, for me, it is a debt and an obligation. A debt to those who make freedom possible, and an obligation to live up to that sacrifice.
I love it.
If we're not doing that, then we're dishonoring those that came before us.
True. Very true.
And I love your triple nickel commercial, because I've seen Another Service to CEO graduate. Yay! I have their t-shirts. My buddy, and they actually did a t-shirt, a Rosie version you can buy on our website, made by Triple Nickel. I saw another Service to CEO, Chris Smurf McPhee.
Yeah, Smurf.
Service to CEO graduate. So whoop, whoop, I love it.
Yeah, and James will mail you out your legend from Triple Nickel shirt. We send them to all of our legends, and it's amazing. But thank you for being our guest this week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate all the work that you've done, and I can't thank you enough, especially as a student of your Rosie Network and your teams and all the work that they did to work with us. It takes a village. So
it truly does. Takes a tribe. Marty, James, you guys are doing amazing work for an incredible reason, for a deserving community. And anything I can do to help support your efforts, you have only to reach out and ask and consider it done. I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and all of your listeners, you guys, just keep doing what you're doing, keep growing, keep plugging away, because I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot more of you guys next year.
We're hoping so. Thank you very much. And you have a Merry Christmas as well. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
God bless.
God bless.
Wow, James. I told you that was going to be a phenomenal interview.
I had to go through another roll of cards here. I've been taking notes like crazy.
I'm telling you. Yeah, we'll definitely talk to them about cards next year on the next episode, I hope, about our new business endeavors. Who do we have next week?
So next week we're bringing on John Arroyo, Special Forces. He's going to talk about his journey in his life. He's got an amazing book that just came out, Attacked at Home. You might be familiar with it. On April 2nd, 2014, he was actually at Fort Hood, and he's going to tell his story and how he overcame the Fort Hood shooting, and talk about his life and his overwhelming darkness that he overcame to get where he is now. So it's going to be a great episode.
Wonderful. I mean, I'm glad that we're able to bring on these guests, and what we're asking is if you know a guest out there that would be amazing, let us know. We're always looking for amazing people. So thank you. Have a Merry Christmas, and we're looking forward to next week.
You've been watching The Lounge with Legends show on E360 TV, countering the narrative that veterans are all broken misfit toys. Veterans are the lifeblood of American freedom. Serving in harsh situations, coupled with their training, have forged them into some of the most resilient and capable leaders in the world. And that's where we come in, celebrating the success stories, taking you on a journey of transformation from military to business. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back soon. But find us on Facebook at Lounge with Legend or at JTF214. Till next time.